Hello, and welcome to Astrolunachic's Guide to the Universe. I am your hostess, Susan, aka Astro Lunachick, and I'm very happy to be here with you today on March 3rd in the year of 2024. And wow, it's March already, and almost spring here in the Northern Hemisphere. It's starting to feel like that, just before spring. It's sort of a surge of energy where, you feel plants come back to life. I have indoor plants that I've been nursing all winter. I'm just saying, just hang on, just stay alive. Some of them died. Oh well, they didn't make it through the long, hard winter. Anyway, and it's interesting because you get to see the new sprouts of the the growth, uh, on the plants, even on the indoor ones. I have a little mini Christmas tree that we managed to salvage, and it pumped out some new sprouts, new little shoots about a month ago. So it's on its way, but God, my other plants are like, oh, it's spring. We can feel it. I don't know, is it the change of the light? Is it the angle of the sun? Whatever it is, the plants know, and I know because I've felt the stirrings too. It's still kind of cold for me. Anyway, I'm waiting for my iPad to update so I could share my screen. But anyway, well, station identification if you're looking to connect with me. You can find me on YouTube, Rumble, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, as well as my links in the description box of the YouTube video. For my Gilded channel, go over there and join in, start some shit, make trouble. And what else? You can buy me a coffee. I had 3 coffees last week, and you guys know I love my coffee. Yeah, somebody bought me 3, and we had a little mini reading over Twitter, and it was so much fun. I love diagnosing narcopaths, as I call them. I was like, yes, steer clear of this one. Uh, yeah, and where else? Oh, so if you are interested in booking a reading, a session, uh, coaching, or whatever you want, transits, reading, birth chart, asteroids, you name it. We tailor make it to fit. And you can also reach me by email at astrolunachick@gmail.com, or you can call the bat phone, the Astro Lunatic hotline at 914-222-1231. Call me, leave a message, text me, and I will get back to you. And what else do we have going on this week? So we're in the waning moon. My iPad is still updating, so sorry. But we'll see how long that lasts. If it takes too long, I'll just share my Serenu asteroid screen. A lot going on last week. I won't get into the news because, major announcement. I am going to be on live tonight with Dave Cruz on Beyond the Strange, my home away from home. I've been on many times with Dave and Russ when he feels like coming on. He's busy. But I'll be co-hosting tonight. So I've been promoted, I guess, to a guest spot of co-hostess. So Dave and I will be just shooting the shit. Of course, I will talk astrology because my brain runs on astrology. I can't help it. Everything filters through my brain through the astrology. So a lot of interesting things going on this past week, and I'll be talking about all the weird news on Dave's show. And I'll try to keep it to a minimum here, though I probably will make reference to certain things that are going on that I have observed that have come across my desk in the course of my duties. Wow, yeah, a lot going on with Nessus. We've got a waning moon. I talked about Nessus, the shirt of Nessus. There's going to be a lot of people wearing the shirt of Nessus. And maybe they'll be wearing it backwards. Big Fanny getting smacked. Her ass is getting smacked. So a little bit I did explain on the last show about Dejanira and Nessus and the jealousy and revenge and poisoning and love triangles and all that kind of fun stuff that goes on with Nessus. So Nessus and Dejanira, Dejanira was married to Hercules or Heracles, and Nessus took his nasty poison blood on his shirt and said, here, if you make a potion of this, it'll keep your husband from cheating. But really, Dejanira she didn't know the beef that was going on between Nessus and her husband. And so, in her insecurity and jealousy, she becomes the unwitting pawn in the takedown of Nessus's rival, her husband, Hercules. So she gives the shirt or the poison, puts it on her shirt, gives it to Hercules. He wears it, he dies. So from that, we get an expression that is often used. I don't know if you all have heard it, the shirt of Nessus. So you could think of that as a situation where a plot against your enemies becomes your own downfall. Do we not see that being played out? We've seen it being played out in court with the Fannie Wade thing and, Wade, her lover, but her hatred of the ex-president, who shall remain unnamed. Why do I care? I'm just gonna say what I want to fucking say. Like, why am I censoring myself? So her hatred of Trump has backfired on her ass and exposed all her nasty, corrupt, dirty deeds that she's guilty of, which is, it's quite the irony when she's in a position of power where she's supposed to be, being dispensing impartial justice. And happening also with the judge in one of the cases. He was ambushed at the gym by James O'Keefe undercover. It was just fucking hilarious. You could go find it on Twitter. Judge Angeron at Equinox. It's just fucking awful. It's like a train wreck. You just can't look away. But anyway, so there's a lot of people going down and being exposed for their own revenge and plotting against their enemies, and it's backfiring in their face. So I am wondering what's going to go on with the royals this week. I'm not going to get into it. I just can't because we want to talk about astrology. But a lot of Nessus going on, a lot of Dejanira, a lot of action with asteroids. We'll just go down the line. The ones I think are important, a lot of female drama with Ophelia, Dejanira, Eurydice. Who else we got happening? Hera, Lilith, and Juno. So there's a lot going on that involves marriages, husbands and wives, and Lilith is the mistress, the lover, and revenge. So there you have it right there in a nutshell. But we'll go over it day by day. So just to start off in our numerology of the week, today is 3/3, March 3rd. We are on a 5-day. Our 3, 6, and 9-day, well, the 3-day already passed. That was the 1st, and that was Friday. So just take all the news that you got or wherever you were at on Friday and know that the next bump in that situation that you're looking at is on Monday, tomorrow, March 4th. That's our 6th day in the building of the energy. And we have the 7th, March 7th is the 9. So that'll be Friday. So there's a drama playing out this week, and I am here for it. The Pisces drama, like nobody dramas like Pisces. Because let me tell you, there's so much depth to this deception, lies, deceit, illusion, delusion, wanting to escape from things. But we love you, Pisces. You're very sweet, sensitive, creative, and very, very deep, deep people. I should share my screen right now. And it's been crazy this week for Pisces because we had Mercury, Saturn, and the Sun conjunct at 9 degrees of Pisces. Very heavy if that was on any of your planets or aspecting them. And I mean, just imagine the weight, the gravity, the responsibility on the shoulders of someone. In terms of asteroids, we had Requiem and Dejanira in the mix. Requiem was a funeral mass. So somebody was being buried. There were a few people that passed that I saw in the news over the past week. Anyway, just a very somber energy for some people. Not for everyone, of course, but it did bring, with Mercury, Saturn, and the Sun, some interesting things to light. Some, like I said, grave, grave literally, the grave site, requiem, someone's funeral mass. And I think there will be probably more news about people passing. So we shall see what we shall see. And now you shall see my screen as I share it. Alrighty. So here we are. On March 3rd, the sun is opposite Juno, which is in retrograde. So a lot of things regarding marriages, marriage contracts, the health of a spouse, the husband or the wife, taking care of someone, heavy responsibilities. And we also have the moon in Sagittarius, which is squaring. It squared earlier to the sun. That's our last quarter square, which tend to be externalized and action oriented. So there could be more of an understanding of what needs to be done, of who we are, where we stand. Could be some travel happening for some people, moon in Sagittarius. Well, it did in conjunct Jupiter, so there could have been some disruption of travel plans because as the moon squared to Saturn, it says, you know what? I have some responsibilities. Or someone could be flitting off in true Pisces fashion to say, ah, you handle it. I'm going on vacation. Okay, so very interesting aspects. What else do we have going on? The moon later on today will square sextile to, or it already did, depending on where you are. This is for New York on the East Coast. Sextiling to Mars, pretty good energy levels, optimism, despite the lack of clarity, perhaps feeling a little inspired, maybe wanting to create a little bit, and by the end of the day, communicate with the moon sextile. I'm sorry, square to Mercury. Okay, so we're getting a little bit of creativity and inspiration. Yes, we are looking at needing to communicate, but perhaps we're not being clear or we're not getting concrete messages. It tends to be a bit more ambiguous. The mind is wandering. It wants freedom. It's marching towards Uranus, right? Or the intuition and the mind and the messages that we're getting in Pisces, with Mercury in Pisces, there is a feeling and a sense of impending change. And there could be. So somebody could be getting wishy-washy. Doesn't seem like plans are too stable today. Things could change. Expect change probably later on, or something comes up and it's like, all right, now we have to make an adjustment. So the moon will in conjunct in a few hours to Uranus, and that can be a little bit of a wild card, but it doesn't seem really all that awful. It's moving towards healing. You know, the Sagittarius moon really is taking a higher perspective. It's making a trine to the North Node and Chiron. So we're working on our destiny, our healing, and that's always a good thing. But we could get thrown some curveballs in the meantime. So on Monday, to start the week, we have a moon square to Neptune, moon in Sagittarius, politics, news, foreign countries, issues that are unclear, possible religion. Isn't the Pope like in critical condition or something? We could see some messages, some news, some unexpected news. Mercury and Uranus, possible. We've got Pisces in the mix and Sagittarius. So there is definitely a possibility that we're getting some kind of news about a foreign leader, a passing, perhaps, or something religious, religious leader. Well, probably the Pope's going to pass. Weird stuff is going on with the royal family. That's all I'm going to say. And I'm going to leave that right there. If you want to find out what I have to say about that, definitely tune into Beyond the Strange. Find him on YouTube. He's on, I think, Rumble, Spreaker, where else? Twitch. I don't know about Twitch anymore, but go find Beyond the Strange, and I will post links so you can go on my social media. And I promised I wasn't going to get too far down the rabbit hole. I'm just going to stick to the aspects for the week. But where's Kate? All right. Proof of life. That's all I'm going to say. We might get some information. But anyway, Sagittarius moon is looking for the truth. The moon will hit the galactic center. We just might get it, or some of it. They don't want to let us know what's going on. Who's they? Who cares? But we're going to be getting down to the truth this week. All right. We're sorting out the Pisces delusion. And that's always a good thing. So Monday is the 6th day. That's why I expect big developments. Mercury sextile to Uranus. It's shocking. It's novel. It's crazy. The sun is conjunct Eurydice. Eurydice is the wife of Orpheus. Orpheus connected to dreams. Orpheus, I believe, is in Pisces somewhere, and we have been having some crazy dreams off the freaking train. Nice. Oh my God. A friend of mine had a dream, told me about it yesterday, and I'm like, holy succubus. That was a succubus, but it could have been a person, but it was a succubus. But we narrowed it down to who it might have been. Holy crap. It was fucking nuts. So be aware, Lilith is on the prowl. Lilith, who seeks to steal the seeds of men as they sleep. So resist, and the devil will flee from you. Oh my God. All right. She gets exposed, Lilith, by the end of the week. And so, Lilith is also the jealous bitch. So in Virgo, we have what do you call it? We have Juno retrograde in Virgo, and we're concerned about her health, and she's not doing too well. Then we have Lilith, because Lilith came along and is fucking with everyone, is fucking with the man, and fucking with the woman also, the wife. So Lilith, Lilith is the jealous lover, whatever. And then we have asteroid Hera in Pisces. So that's what's going on. So interesting. Like there could be wife number one, wife number two, it could be a quadruple where, I think I know what's going on with William. All right, I'm not going to talk about it. You have to tune into Dave's show. I'll upload Dave's show from his channel onto mine, perhaps. So Hera is in Pisces, conjunct Neptune. Like, she doesn't know what's going on. perhaps. Or maybe she's the one. Maybe she's the one who's being deceptive. Very interesting to note. On March 4th, Monday, possibility of something coming out regarding revenge, poison, and attempted murder. Could be. Yeah, I mean, it's a true crime buffs wet dream. So we're dealing with those themes. And the moon in the last 5 degrees of Sagittarius will be at the stinger of the Scorpion. That's where we're getting the poison from. And if you go back to the end of March, beginning of January, and we had the Mercury retrograde, we had Jupiter go direct, we had Mercury retrograde passed over those degrees at the end of Sagittarius, and that's when we had all kinds of scandals come out, like new levels of dirt come out with P. Diddy and TD Jakes and the Freak Offs and the White Fingernail Club. And what else happened was Kate Middleton disappeared, and then there was rumors circulating, like all the old shit gets dug up when something comes out in the media, people start talking about the past. And Mercury did not disappoint. Mercury retrograde brought up all the shit from the past. So the Epstein list was being released. Those Epstein, not the list, but the list from the I think it was the Virginia Giuffre trial. All right, so think about that time period, if it was impactful for you, whatever you were going through, because it's all about you. And think back to that time, because we're rounding a corner as the moon passes through this degree. And then we have, because it squares to Neptune, so it's digging up all of the stuff that was hidden. Neptune in Pisces is bringing it all up. Mercury is moving towards Pisces, Neptune. So is the sun. So there's going to be a lot of exposure this week. Okay. Monday, moon is sextile to Venus. I would say there's a big focus on the female aspect, because today, hang on, or yesterday, nope, today Venus is square to Uranus. So there's a big shakeup with relationship, with females, finance, people involved with, the arts, celebrities, possibly, and interesting things going on regarding technology, banking, all of the Venus things, all of the Uranus, Aquarius things. We're also dealing with things flying in the air. There was a lot of crazy stuff, laser beams in 3 different places that I could clock. So weird stuff going on with technology, things in high places, things in the sky. And I'll talk about that on Dave's show. All right. So as the week goes on, we're having a little bit of fog on Monday, maybe feeling a little tired, still sleepy, confused. But a lot of interesting things going on with Mercury sextile to Uranus. A lot of massive spiritual energy here in Pisces, because there's a leveling up every time we have some sort of revelation. We're getting big revelations right now. Revelations about people, about friends, about relationships, and so on. A lot of Kundalini stuff going on. And this could be affecting people's, let's say, well, it depends on everyone's chart, but I feel like dreams are activated, third eye stuff, premonitions, just a real stirring on a spiritual level, amping up. It's almost like the Kundalini of the earth, we could feel it coming up through the ground this spring. Like more people are aware physically, psychically. Cool. I love it. All right. So let's see. On Monday, what else do we need to look at? One thing to mention is that Uranus is conjunct Minerva. I want to say she has a connection to seafaring, like she might be one of those. She is associated with, well, handicrafts, but also with war, and because she is basically Athena, I think she is the Greek, and Athena is the Roman goddess of war. She is represented by the owl, and we did have the owl, what's his name? Flacco, that died last week he lived in Central Park. So there could be a lot of owl symbolism coming up. And if you know from the X-Files, the owls are not what they seem. Are we having abduction scenarios happening for people? It's very interesting. I did mention last year, I thought, and I mentioned to a few people, I don't know, I didn't go on the record, but I did say it and I thought it, that I'm like, we don't really hear about abductions anymore. What's going on with that? And guess what? I mean, this year we are. And of course, a lot more information coming out with UFOs. More people are talking. I refuse to say UAP. You can like piss off with that. So a lot more people are talking. I see it like daily on Twitter, and I don't even follow really, the UFO ET stuff anymore. Anyway, but with the Pisces energy and the dreams and the Uranus, Mercury, and aspects to Chiron, probably talking more about stopping those kind of experiences and healing from them. I can see that. And maybe more spotlight on government involvement. Okay. What else do we have going on? That's Monday. Keep it moving. The moon moves into Capricorn. It starts out in Sagittarius. There will be a void early in the day, and it is a square to Neptune. So there's uncertainty on Monday until the moon goes into Capricorn, which on the East Coast will be later on in the day. There seems to be possibly some kind of announcement, maybe things having to do with government, but that's super late in the day. The moon will be opposite asteroid Lie in Cancer. I think it's retrograde, I'm not sure. So people being held accountable, lies being exposed, expect it. It's happening this week. All right, so that's late in the day, but that'll be around 1:30 or so if you're on the West Coast. So um it'll be super late for, let's say, the UK, because I think they're like 8 hours ahead of us, something like that. Um, mm, mm, mm. So like late in the day for us would be tomorrow. Like that would be their maybe mm, late night into Tuesday. Interesting. What else do we have going on while the moon is in Capricorn? I'm going to check some asteroids. Just hang on. Hang on. That's the fourth. We have some interesting asteroids in Capricorn. I don't want to make this too long. I'm really trying. Oh my God, I'm trying. So with the moon in Capricorn, we're always going to be focusing on things like achievement, responsibility, accountability, loyalty, hard work, delays, difficulties, family responsibilities, government, the old guard, etc. Work, work, work. All right, we have Ixion, which is murder, moida. Second chances for some people. It's at 5 Capricorn, so it's not really getting any aspects right now. Yeah. It won't really be aspected until we start having transits into Aries, so that won't be probably until the week after this coming week. But as the moon goes through Aries, we might come across these themes. So we have Ixion at 5, Cupido at 8. So think, Cupid, love, whatever. Ceres is nurturing and motherhood and food. Quaoar, I'm not really familiar with that one. Pholus is a centaur and tends to be like a good friend, giving advice. Asteroid child is at 11. Pholus and child, maybe someone is getting advice from a child, giving advice to a child. Radio communicata is at 14. So we're really talking about now March 5th, and the moon will be, that will be March 5th. Pretty much everything that I just read. Those themes. Okay. And the moon will be making the trine, and it'll make sextiles to the Pisces planets. So that means it'll trine to Lilith and Juno in Virgo. So the moon in Capricorn, your duties, your responsibilities, your commitments, and as they relate to your wife, her health, um, and Saturn, the moon is making a sextile to Saturn. So there's a sense of needing to look at one's loyalty and commitments and who's there, in a difficult time, and who's not. Who's not fulfilling their duties? William. Um, and Ceres is the mother. So we've got a lot going on with family. Capricorn is the father archetype. The moon is the mother, ruling Cancer in the sign of the father. So we're really dealing with family legacies and marriages and commitments and children. The moon will be conjunct asteroid child. Radio communicata is conjunct Osiris, Osiris being the husband of Isis, the partner, the masculine, the king. And Osiris can deal with being defragmented and then being put back together, being resurrected. I don't know where Isis is. Oh, Isis is at 24 Sagittarius. And one of my favorites, Didymus. Didymus is the twin, the dualistic principality, existing in two states, doubting, the two sides, the Janus, two-face. There's the public face and then there's the private face. We're going to get to see a lot of that. Interesting. And Isis, so the moon will be conjunct Isis on the 4th. All right. The other thing that the moon will do on the 5th is make a trine to Jupiter. Jupiter ruling travel, ruling legal issues, and beliefs, philosophies, ideologies, religious, but also because the moon is in Capricorn, it's the duty of the leaders of these institutions and getting to see perhaps behind the scenes, not just the public face, but the behind the scenes, because the Pisces, everything going on in Pisces right now, Saturn, the Sun, Mercury, Neptune. Pisces is the 12th house. It's all hidden stuff. So there is some level of exposure, and Jupiter is conjunct asteroid Albion. Albion is, yes, it's from William Blake's writings, the fourfold primordial man, but it's also the ancient name of Great Britain. So Jupiter is moving slowly closer and closer to the degree that Albion is at, which is 13. And now by March 5th, Jupiter is at 12. So just kind of interesting, the stuff going on. And we'll just have to wait. I think we're going to get a lot of news from that area of the world. Should be very interesting. Okay. So anything to do with government and legal cases should be very, very interesting as the sun goes through Pisces, because, the sun shines a light on things and stuff we didn't see before. The sun is, again, it's traveling with it past Saturn. Icarus is behind Saturn, coming up on Saturn. And, Saturn is boundaries and Pisces doesn't have any. And I think somebody is going to cross a line somewhere, or just not allow a restriction or a boundary or a fear to keep them from doing what they want to do or that they need to do, I suppose, which makes it very interesting in terms of dreams and stuff, because this feels like a lot of crossing of certain boundaries and restrictions that might have been there. and allowing people to roam free and visit, including people from the other side. Because Orpheus is in Pisces also. So that's why I think the dreams are going to be crazy. Requiem is in here. Dejanira is in here. And, you know, from what I said earlier, Dejanira and Nessus, those are two asteroids that we look at in abuse scenarios. Nessus tends to be looked at as the aggressor and Dejanira the victim. So Eurydice is in here, and that has to do with the dead also, and Orpheus, because Orpheus, his musical instrument, the lyre, was able to stir the dead. He went down into the netherworld to retrieve his wife, who was dead. A lot of dead stuff. It's crazy. Or, it could also be people becoming very aware of the role that those who have passed on, the role that they play in our lives, and that they are still somewhat influential and perhaps instrumental in what's going on. My. Okay. So we're only on March 5th. What else do we have to see here? Well, the moon will square the nodes at some point over the course of the 5th. And so we have a turning point. And the moon trining to Jupiter is, we're moving towards expansion. We're moving towards greater understanding of, beliefs of what our physical existence is here, as opposed to what's on the other side. There's a lot of thought and reflection on connecting with people that are gone. And anyway, the moon does make a square to the nodes. It's a turning point. It's letting go of the past. Capricorn is the past, and moving forward towards who we are today, which we are healing. The moon will square Chiron, so the wounding will come up around the 5th, and we can deal with that as it applies. And hopefully, let's see. The moon is sextiling to Mercury, so there's probably a bit more compassion going on later on into the 6th, or more of a dissolving and helping to release things from the past. All right, so if we're looking at the 6th, we have the moon still in Capricorn, still waning, sextile to Mercury, good for creative endeavors. The moon in Capricorn wants to get things done. Mercury in Pisces probably wants to check out, but if we can assimilate that energy, it would be a good day to be more creative in how you can get those mundane tasks done. Also better understanding again of the family dynamic, because we are talking about Capricorn and the moon. The moon is the past, the family, and letting things go. The 6th, where are we? The 6th is Wednesday, and the moon will sextile to Neptune in Pisces after it makes that Mercury. So there could be communication, there could be ideas, there could be messages. And the moon sextile to Neptune, it could probably be bringing up the blind spots, the questions, what's not clear. So on the 6th, which is the 8th day on Wednesday, Mercury will be conjunct Hera, asteroid Hera. So again, what's going on with the wife? We've got the sun opposing Lilith. So whatever the fear, whatever the jealousy is, doesn't mean something's going on. But Juno retrograde in Virgo could be a little insecurity about the partnership. It could be stuff coming up again about health of the wife, of the partner, and the responsibilities that come with that. You know, when your partner is not able to shoulder half the burden, you take on more. But perhaps there is a resentment. Lilith in Virgo would be resenting that. Lilith, there's the jealousy, there's the insecurity, a lot of that, and tends to be judgy and critical. And the sun will shine a light on that because it'll oppose Lilith. So whoever the troublemaker is, Camilla, will probably be exposed, and the issues regarding family dynamics, husbands and wives, um, you know, earlier in the week it was Venus square to Uranus. So that's sort of a disruptive energy in relationships and coming from the female side. So something is disrupted, right? And then we have Mars coming in, and that's the men, the masculine. That's going to square to Uranus. And so then I feel like we'll have probably some issues regarding or focusing on men and anger issues. It's not just men, but Venus is the love and it's relationships, it's love, it's females and harmony and diplomacy. So there is a disruption in all those things when Venus squares to Uranus earlier. Let me look and see what I'm exactly talking about here. It's today. Okay, so disruption. And then we have action later on in the week, towards the end of the week. So it's either it can be angry, it doesn't have to be angry, it could be conflict. Well, it is a square and unusual and disconnection because we're talking about Uranus and Aquarius. So actions, attacks, watch for bank issues and cyber attacks or things to do with crypto. It'll be kind of crazy this week, I think. Anything having to do with technology. We've been hearing a lot of like outages and hacks and, solar flares. When we have these aspects to Uranus, that's when I think we really have to watch. So around the 6th, 7th, that's when I think we really have to watch those things. And you know how to prepare. If you don't, you can figure it out on the fly. So I just think we'll probably hear more of that kind of thing. Divorces, separations, people, you know, getting exposed, love triangle shit. Okay, so going into the 7th. Also, I want to mention, because the 3-day was February 29th, leap day, if there was anything going on that day, look to that day, because that's when the moon in Scorpio squared Pluto, and we had all kinds of like scandalous, secret kind of stuff come up. And yeah, there was a lot of deaths. There was, NATO is they're amping up. There's war. They're going nuts over there. The royals were going nuts. So, so yeah, the 6th is related to March 6th is related to February 29th. So if those dates are important for you, the next important date would be March 6th, because that is the 9. Hang on a second. No, I'm wrong. I'm looking at my notes wrong. Okay, so the 3-day was February 29th, and the 6th day is the 4th. Okay, so look to those days. And then the 9-day is the 7th. So all 3 of those days are related. Whatever happened on the 29th, we're going to be hearing more about it on the 4th, Monday. And then that whole cycle will be ending on the 7th, because that's the 9-day. That's when I think all the crazy stuff will come out with whatever's going on in the UK. And Mars will be square to Uranus. So Europe, war, all the crap, something's going to happen, I think. Yeah, well, the 6th also is when the moon will conjunct Pluto. Moon will conjunct Pluto on the 7th. Sorry, that's super, super early. So the 6th into the 7th, moon conjunct Pluto, and all that crazy stuff started amping up, all that fear and talk of war and the royal stuff on the 29th. That was when the moon entered Scorpio and squared Pluto. The moon will conjunct Pluto, and Pluto's in Aquarius. Mars is squaring to Uranus. So this could be technological, possibly, or talks. I'm not going to say it's going to happen, but I think there's more fear about the use of nuclear weapons. Like, that's what's coming up also. So, all right. So on the 7th, that is the 9-day, and that is a day to watch. And that's the day that the sun will be conjunct Nessus. All right. So I think the abuser gets exposed and Lilith gets exposed. The sun is the leader, the masculine, and Nessus. So, I mean, think about how that plays out, that whole shirt of Nessus when it comes to world politics, right? Like, you're going after your enemy, but then it backfires on you and becomes your own destruction. Crazy. I don't know. It almost feels like maybe, excuse me. Um, I wonder because the moon will square Panacea, the moon in Aquarius on the 7th will square Panacea in Taurus, 8 Taurus, and then Albion. So could it be because Panacea is a cure? Panacea is the cure. And could it be that someone steps up to negotiate peace? Well, somebody needs to call for peace, God. Well, anyway, Mercury will be conjunct Neptune on the 7th. That is, we may not be getting the full story, or we are getting the full story. There will be a little bit of both, I believe, but Mercury will be conjunct, let's see, Hera, Borasisi. Those are the lies that we tell each other and ourselves so that we could be happy. Think about how the royals have been spinning in the press, spinning what's going on. And oh no, everything's fine. Oh no, she just needs a break. Okay, whatever you say. March 7th. I don't know. Hera and Borasisi over the 7th and the 8th. On the 8th, I have written in my notes, Lilith gets exposed. The sun is opposite Lilith. Sun at 17 degrees Pisces and Lilith at 17 degrees of Virgo. The moon will be in Aquarius. It will be squaring to Jupiter. That's Aquarius is the masses and social media and technology wanting the truth, square to Jupiter, square to Albion. It's just going to be so much crazy stuff going on, I believe, over there in Europe and Eastern Europe. But Mercury conjunct Neptune is total obfuscation of what's really going on. So I think there will be a lot of spin on things. And we have, again, asteroids, Requiem, Dejanira, and Icarus, who flew too close. Requiem and Dejanira. Requiem is the funeral mass opposite to Juno in Virgo, which is retrograde. Like, did Kate already die and now they're having a funeral mass? It's just so strange. I don't know. It's anyone's guess at this point, but something's going to be happening. So on March 3rd, the sun today is opposite to Juno. So something about the wife and her health. And Mercury is opposite Lilith, the jealous lover. And let's see, Mars is in conjunct to Lilith. That is causing erratic action from people and retaliation. And Mars is square to Uranus. Craziness. On the 1st, Venus was in conjunct to Lilith. So it's weird. It's almost like if someone is suspicious of someone, they go and do something based on their suspicion, or, they could just be projecting their fears, but then it screws everything up and a fight ensues because someone accuses someone, or they go and they do something in revenge. Quite possibly. But let's see, we're on the 7th. Why don't I have that written in my notes? All right. So on the 8th by Friday, yeah. And the sun is sextile to Uranus. That is clearly strange, unconventional, and shocking events, unexpected outcomes. And Mercury conjunct to Neptune, no one knows what to believe. Who's lying out the side of their mouth? But somewhere in there, the truth could be there, but we're dealing with Borasisi also, which is lies. And there's anger, and there's rebellion, and there is attacks, and there's blame shifting and finger pointing. And what else do we have going on? Venus is conjunct Apophis. Apophis is the Egyptian Satan. It's the quote destroyer. It is one of the asteroids that we get toted out like every couple of years. It's this sort of meme that, the killer asteroid is coming to hit the Earth. So at the same time, all of this is going on. And Venus is also conjunct Aphrodite and Circe. Wow. At the very last few degrees of Aquarius. Like, dang. So it's the temptation, it's the beautiful lover, the woman, but it is a destroying energy at the same time. It's crazy. And then I've got in my notes, the feminine pulls some trump card and goes too far. But with all this Nessus, shirt of Nessus energy here, and Dejanira and Requiem, it doesn't go well. It's just nuts. That's all I have to say. So on the 9th, we're still in that energy. And the moon. Okay, so the moon on March 8th, we're talking about moon conjunct to Venus. So things having to do again with relationships, females, and someone leaving because Venus is at the last few degrees of Aquarius, and we're talking friends and networks and associations, and also networks, financial networks too. And Mercury, I just feel like the speculation is going wild. And, is it people telling themselves, because we're dealing with Borasisi and Neptune, is it, Nessus Dejanira is coming through? Here, here's a link, here's a website, put all your financial information in there so that you can claim your Nessus Dejanira dollars, and you get scammed and they hack your bank account. Don't fall for it. That's all I'm going to say. Okay. So, and then at some point later on in the day, the moon goes into Pisces, and when it does, it meets asteroid Damocles, the sword of Damocles hanging over your head. The king, he who sits on the throne, and it's the great danger and responsibility that comes with power. hanging over your head. So, Crantor is sudden endings, and also just like when people go mental. People go mental. Like, ah, yeah, I just can't stand the pressure. But if it's not aspecting your planets, then don't worry about it. We've got so that's Saturday, that's a 2-day. Did I mention that the 8th is the 1 on Friday? This is a beginning. Friday is, yes, the end of the week, but Thursday is the end of that energy. And then Friday is the beginning of what comes next. So on the 9th, which is the 2-day, where I said the feminine pulls some trump card and goes too far. Somebody's saying too much, and it's based on their illusion, projection, or lies that they were told, even about the way things are within a group structure, whether it's politics or religion, could very possibly be that kind of thing going on. But remember that this is now the dark of the moon. We're entering the dark of the moon by Friday the 8th, and that's just before the new moon. And a lot of stuff could go down that we don't really see because it is a very behind the scenes energy. But by March 9th, we have the 2 energy. It's the 2-day. So on some level, we're dealing with relationships. The moon is conjunct Saturn. So that means it will also be conjunct Orpheus, dreams, the husband that tries to pull his wife out of, the underworld. Could be somebody in a coma, even that kind of energy. Icarus, flying too close, getting too close. Dejanira, again, that weird, victim, jealousy, rage, revenge, blah, blah, blah. Requiem in Pisces, these are all around 14 degrees. Eurydice and Nessus, which is around 17 degrees of Pisces. Ay, ay, ay. So much drama. I'm sorry if you're a Pisces, but it's sort of like hanging in the balance. I mean, it may not be dire for people. It could be somebody's spouse has like the flu, not necessarily in the hospital, but like they're down. They're down for the count, and you got to pick up extra slack, and you're feeling like a victim. Like, woe is me. Like, who's there for me when nobody's there to pick up my slack? Who? Frickety who. So it could even just be that. But like by the 9th, there's no energy left, like no fucks to give. There's very little energy left by Saturday. And we've got all this stuff that's going on also with Mars square to Uranus. It's like really needing to detach, and a very sudden detachment, perhaps. And, the kind of depression that people could be experiencing while the moon is in Pisces conjunct to Saturn, there's an underlying anger to it. And so this is almost like a giving up kind of energy, but there is the underlying energy of anger with moon square to Uranus. It's almost like, oh God, my mind goes to some dark places. I'm sorry. Like somebody hanging on in a coma, and on a soul level, like just giving up. Like, I have no more energy. I just can't do this anymore. Like I'm pretty pissed at you. I just want to poof, cut the tie, be gone. And of course, my true crime brain goes to who is pulling the plug? It's could be, oh my God. All right. So I always think, what cases are going on, and we don't know where Kate Middleton is. She could be in a coma with a feeding tube, and they're deciding we gotta pull the tube out. That's some dark shit. That's some dark shit right there. But things happen in the dark of the moon that we won't find out about probably until the new moon on Sunday. And that's our 3 day. So there's stuff happening on Friday when the one, when we're in the one energy. And then on Sunday, probably we get wind of it. Maybe we start to understand what's happening when Mercury on the 10th on Sunday goes into Aries. See, while the moon is in Pisces and it's conjunct to Neptune, don't expect that you're going to know what's going on. Things hang in the balance. We're dealing with Neptune, Hera, Borasisi, which is sort of, it's got a bit of a fantasy quality to it, like somebody's going to recover and we just have to believe. It is a religious type of an energy, but it's blind faith and also believing in lies. And someone could be coming out with the truth when Mercury goes into Aries. We have the new moon on March 10th. We have Hygeia also. I forgot to mention asteroid Hygeia is health, hygienics. So at 24 degrees, somewhere around the new moon, we are going to start to get a little bit of information regarding health and possibly about someone's wife. When the moon, after the new moon, as the new moon waxes, the moon will hit Hygeia and Hera. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what news we hear. And I think it's let's see. It's not until March 12th that Venus changes signs into Pisces and the feminine energy gets a little more softer. There's a little more compassion. Venus is pretty cold in Aquarius. So, she goes from let's just be friends to I need you. I can't live without you. And then she'll hit Damocles and Crantor. Crantor can bring sudden endings. Damocles is like hanging in the balance, the sword hanging over your head. Let's see what Mercury is doing. Once it goes into Aries, it's definitely, it's going to sextile to Pluto. So there's a lot of chatter and there's a lot of stuff going on in terms of Mars energy, because that's Aries, and Pluto in terms of if there's any attacks, warfare, or anything like that, I would expect that we would have more information by the 12th. Oh, I wanted to check asteroids that are in. Okay, well, Bandersnatch is there, Magdalena is there, Manwe, Okairo, Cilicia is at 8. So Magdalena, anyone by the name of Magdalena or Madeline, there was a girl who was killed, and I think they found her body, and her name was Madeline. Uh, so yeah, people are in an uproar about the uneven hand of justice and things that are going on due to the lack of boundaries in our country. Well, the new moon in Pisces will be at 20 degrees. It's on an asteroid called Teheran Hayawako. So that's an Indian name. I don't know anything about it, but Hygeia is in there, and that has to do with health and healing. Pisces and Virgo axis has to do with the immune system and the permeability. And Nessus and Dejanira are connected to blood. So there could be stuff coming up about, well, blood feuds. We know what's going on with the royals. That's a blood feud right there. And bloodlines and warring factions and ancient conflicts. But blood, the blood supply, the Red Cross. I'm wondering how that's all going to play out. Anyway, I'm pretty much done here for the day. I hope I wasn't all over the place. I probably was. But I think I pretty much covered it. By March 10th, Jupiter will be conjunct Albion. It has been floated out there that William might be facing criminal charges. So, could that be the day? Saturn is sextile to Jupiter, and it has been all week. And that is obviously Jupiter is legal and law and those institutions. And Saturn is government and institutions also, and being held accountable. And we saw a lot of that over the past week. People who administer the law or who are in positions of power, that's Saturn, right? And Pisces, Saturn and Pisces just doesn't have any boundaries, doesn't have any like limitations. So, who's policing the police? And when you find out that there is, wrongdoing in government and, legal figures. So this could probably get very complicated and sticky. Very sticky. And people are up in arms about it because holy crap. I think we're going to be seeing some stuff, hearing some stuff. People, I don't know. It feels like people lying right to your face with the Mercury conjunct Neptune and Borasisi. Like, we're all supposed to believe this just because they say this. Just because someone makes a statement, just because something is printed in the newspaper, mainstream news, it does not make it true. Okay. So we have on one level, we have the official statement saying, everything's fine, nothing to see here, keep calm and carry on. But then we have the stuff going on social media, Venus in Aquarius, squaring to Uranus, Mars in Aquarius, squaring to Uranus. There's so much evidence that gets dumped on social media platforms, on the internet, on blogs and videos on YouTube and content creators. And that is becoming a source of evidence for investigators and law enforcement. I think it'll be difficult here because it's getting to a level where, like, the royals are untouchable. You know, like, who's going to remove them unless it's a popular uprising and rebellion against the monarchy because they're outed for being animals or something. I don't know. I've promised I wasn't going to go into detail about this stuff, but there's some crazy stuff going on. It makes me want to look at what's going on in Sagittarius because that'll all be squaring to Pisces. So we have, oh, well, here's one that I missed. Mute for a second there. Baby was leaving. So on one level, yeah, we have the old, the old tired lines of it's this, it's that, and then there's other evidence that contradicts it. Um, Seeing that pretty much across the board. Okay, so what I said was here's one I've missed, and these are in Scorpio, and that will be trining all of the Pisces planets. So here's another underlying layer and influence from Scorpio, which is Narcissus, which is retrograde at 15 degrees of Scorpio. Baba Mama Wana Ressa. I don't know what that, I probably screwed that up, but goddess of beer. And apparently he's known as One Pint Willie among his friends because he can't hold his liquor. Anyway, that's retrograde in Pisces. Poseidon, god of the sea, 16. Scorpio, sorry, did I say Pisces? No. Mamba ba 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 ba. Don't make me say that again. Mambaba Wanaresa. It's African, I think. Anyway, beer and in Scorpio, there's somebody's addiction, substance abuse, drinking, their narcissism, Poseidon thinking, I can handle this, you know. And Poseidon is Neptune. So we're dealing with layers upon layers of deceit that comes with the addiction. And then we have hybris at 70 degrees of Scorpio in retrograde. Hubris, that's hubris. So someone is getting exposed for their treachery, their hubris, their addictions, their narcissism. Then we have Typhon, Dizwana, Deucalion, all at the end of Scorpio, Typhon. That's another like destroyer. Typhon is the dragon or the serpent. And Dizwana is sort of like a wild feminine. forest goddess or something like that. Deucalion is sort of like a Neptune. I'm sorry, uh, like Noah and the flood. And part of that is being spared. So somebody gets spared time and time again. They don't learn their lesson. Deucalion is at 27 Scorpio retrograde. So it's bringing up past stuff where this person had so many chances. But they're being exposed, I feel, with the Neptune, let's say Mercury, Neptune, and then the moon, the 9th and the 10th. Somebody is ratting. Somebody is, or they're in therapy and they're talking about this kind of stuff. But like it's the lies that everyone around this addict, they're participating. This is the participation in the creation of an illusion because we're all believing the lie. Goes on, in families all the time. So, what was I talking about? Sagittarius that squares the Pisces. What's going on in there? Oh, wow. Well, we have Ceto, which is a sea monster. We have Sisyphus, you know, repetitively trying to push the boulder up the hill and it just rolls back down. Like it's a futile effort. We have Sappho, which is usually attributed to females and lesbian relationships, but it can be cheating, can deal with cheating. Hidalgo, not that familiar. Hidalgo has to do with, I think he was a Mexican priest and Mexican independence. Pallas Athena, that's feminine warrior and pattern recognition. Lilith, asteroid Lilith is squaring from Sag. Persephone, which is, just, well, it is linked to abduction. That's interesting. Yeah, I don't know. Hopi, Isis, Didymus. Didymus is two-faced. Didymus I'm also looking at for Diddy. And I think by the middle of the month, it moves into Capricorn. But right where it is right now at 27 degrees was during the fiasco when all that crap came out. So much came out like at the end of December, beginning of January. He was in the news for like men started coming out that he had abused. All right, that wraps it up. I got to take a nap before I go on Dave's show. Thank you again to everyone for joining me. It was longer, once again, longer than I wanted it to be. One of these days, I'll get my shit together. Anyway, thank you. I love you all. Please, you know where to connect with me. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Rumble, YouTube. Check my links in the description box. My Rumble channel, I think, is in there, but my Gilded Chat is in there. You can buy me a coffee. I, do little mini readings by text or email. And yeah, you could just buy me a coffee just for the hell of it if you want. And what else? Oh, if you want to book a formal reading or session with me, you can email me at astrolunatic@gmail.com or call me on the hotline at 914-222-1231. And as always, it's been a pleasure discussing with you and figuring out what the hell is going on in the heavens. and what is up your anus. Ciao for now.